everybody, I'm Laura Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. President Trump's respect for law enforcement and the rule of law in America is unwavering in both his words and his actions. Joining me to discuss the latest on the president's support for law enforcement is the former commissioner of the NYPD, Bernard Kerik. Bernie, thanks for being here as always.
Thank you.
We love having you. You recently visited the White House. You were in the Rose Garden with the president for a ceremony. Let's take a quick look.
Today we come together as one nation to support our September 11th heroes, to care for their families, and to renew our eternal vow, never, ever forget. The love and loyalty of our 9/11 responders knew no bounds. Today we are deeply honored to be in the presence of more than 60 of these exceptional heroes. For your entire lives, you have gone far beyond your duty to us, and today we strive to fulfill our sacred duty to you. We love you, we honor you, and we thank you. God bless you all.
All right, Bernie, this was for the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund that was finally made official. How do you feel like this event reflected the president's respect for law enforcement?
It made it official, but it made it permanent. And that's extremely important because, you cannot ask men and women in law enforcement or our military to go out and put their lives on the line and put themselves in harm's way. And then when something goes wrong, not take care of them.
Right.
And I think this president, more than any I've seen, and I've said that before here and in a number of different interviews, I don't think we've ever had anybody in the White House that is as supportive to the men and women in law enforcement, our military, than this president.
Yeah.
I sort of knew that before. I've known him a long time, and
Right.
This is a guy of action. When he says he's going to do something and he wants to get something done, he does it. The bill got passed. He signed it. And I have to tell you one thing, Laura. The thing that came out of this for me, I must have gotten 20, 25 phone calls from cops like all around the country. They said that the president looked like he absolutely enjoyed it. I mean, he was smothered by cops as he signed this thing. There were people all over him. If you look at those photos,
Yeah.
I was standing on the side with the vice president and Rudy Giuliani, and I laughed to myself. Secret Service right now is having a heart attack because
everybody's
they're all
around
over
him.
They're like on top of him. They were leaning on him. They were on his back. He loved it.
He does love it.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and he has always been a champion of law enforcement. Throughout the campaign, anytime he would go anywhere, he would literally pull over, stop, shake the hands of the sheriff's deputies, the police officers. But specifically when we're talking about this 9/11 Victims Fund, this was personal for the president. The president is a New Yorker. He was here for the attacks in 9/11, and he was down at Ground Zero.
He was on numerous occasions. And it was, listen, anybody that lived in New York at the time, especially for somebody like him, he was an icon in New York. He was a property owner in New York. He was well invested in New York City. And then for his city to be attacked like it was, the country to be attacked, it was very personal. And I know how he felt. We discussed it numerous times. I saw him down at Ground Zero. He didn't have to be down there. I had to be there. Right. Rudy Giuliani had to be there. The city leadership had to be there. The governor. Donald Trump didn't have to be there. He was down there constantly, and he was doing so to support and motivate the troops.
Yeah.
Inspire men and women that were down there. They were doing 12-hour tours. You were doing 12 hours on and 12 hours off. It was hard work. It was hot. It was tiring. It was extremely frustrating, and it was extremely depressing. We went in thinking we would have to rescue a number of people. Rescues didn't come.
Right.
And, everybody we took out, 99% of the people we took out were dead and in pieces. So the men and women that were down there needed all the help they could get. And a lot of that is mentally. And he was down there to support them, as was numerous celebrities,
Right.
many celebrities, sports figures, things like that. but he was one of them.
Well, it does seem to be a trend with Democrats. We now have seen several Democrat debates now, and it seems like, Bernie, that they are favoring lawlessness. Let's take a look at what they said.
A criminal offense to cross the border. The challenge is that Donald Trump is president and using this to rip families apart. A sane immigration system needs a sane leader.
The problem is that right now, the criminalization statute is what gives Donald Trump the ability to take children away from their parents.
What's missing is the right person in the White House. Immigrants don't diminish America, they are America.
So, Bernie, we've heard a lot, but there was definitely a theme overall. And while we know that this election is about capitalism versus socialism, there is a part of it that is about law and order versus chaos, is there not?
There is, but the biggest theme is it's just anti-Trump.
Well, that's true. We all know that.
Everything is anti-Trump.
Right.
He could say, the sky is blue, and, they're going to say, no, it's gray, it's green.
Exactly.
The bottom line is, this is their agenda. This is what they're doing. The whole argument about border control and illegals coming into the country, there are United States laws on the books that these legislators created, got passed, got presidents to sign their laws that are enacted in this country, and now all of a sudden don't follow them. Let people come in illegally. Give them voter IDs, give them voting rights, and give them
free health
free health care.
Yeah.
It's completely insane.
But when people are looking towards voting in 2020 and they're trying to decide how they're going to vote, they need to pay attention to what these candidates are telling them, because they're telling you on stage at these debates exactly what they want to do. And although you're right, it is because it's 100% against Donald Trump and that's all they care about. The scary thing, Bernie, is what if one of these people became our president and had their way and really decriminalized border crossings, and we literally had an open border on our southern border? Think about the number of people that would come in unchecked, the crime, the drugs, the human trafficking. I mean, it's terrifying when you think about it.
Here's the bottom line. If one of those people actually became president and enacted what they talk about on the stage, the United States of America immediately becomes a third world country.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Absolutely.
It cannot happen. And, I think that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
People need to pay attention. They need to look at what Donald Trump has done already in office in just under 3 years. Lowest unemployment in the black community in our history of recording it.
Yeah.
The lowest Hispanic unemployment. A 400% increase in black business ownership. I honestly believe, I strongly believe this, that the Democrats are pushing all this illegal stuff because they're losing the black vote.
I think you're right. I think they know it.
I think you see, I see, I feel it, I hear it.
I do too.
Black voters from New York City come up to me and they're voting for Donald Trump.
Yep.
They believe in what he's doing. They feel it, they see it. I think it's a changing time.
Finally, I know we talked about this at the beginning, but while we know the Democrats do not support police as a whole, law enforcement, they've been very clear on ICE, the Border Patrol, they want nothing to do with them. How important is it, do you think, to the rank and file officers across this country every day to know how much support they have from this president, from President Donald Trump?
It's probably one of the most important things in their job right now, because they're not getting it from their mayors.
Right.
They're not getting it from the governors, and I see it all the time. I hear it all the time. The cops, the men and women in blue, in law enforcement, they love this guy. They just love him.
Yeah, they do.
The men and women in military love him.
Mm-hmm.
Commanders may not like him because he's hard.
Yeah.
He holds them accountable. And he makes it known. And he doesn't, we all know he says what he thinks, and
we know that for sure. But
listen,
I think I have family members across this country who are in law enforcement, and what I hear from them consistently is that they know for sure that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, their president has their back, and that means the world to them. It makes them go out every day inspired, wanting to do their job. You know, they would do their job anyway because they're great people, but it really feels good, I think, when you know that the guy up top has your back and is looking out for you.
You know what? I'll close with this. You know, in 1994 to 2002, Rudy Giuliani was the mayor. And during that time, we had a bunch of, we had financial problems that the mayor was trying to get over from prior administrations. So he wasn't handing out raises to the unions, right? And the unions couldn't stand him, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? Every cop in the city knew that you got the benefit of the doubt if there was a problem.
Right.
If there was a problem, it would be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you were found guilty administratively or in a criminal proceeding, okay, you'll be held accountable. But nobody was going near you. Nobody was going to touch you until that investigation was concluded. You weren't getting thrown under the bus by Rudy Giuliani or me or any of his commissioners. Wasn't going to happen. Yep. In today's world, something happens, and they throw the cop right under the bus, mayors and governors around this country. Mm-hmm. And it's demoralizing, it's degrading, it's demeaning. But they know the president is just like Giuliani was back then.
That's right.
You get the benefit of the doubt. You're number one, and he takes care of him.
Yep. And we'll continue to see that. Well, Bernie, it's always great to have you on.
Thank you.
We certainly look forward to your next trip. Hopefully we'll be talking about all the respect that is being given to our law enforcement officers across New York next time. Thank you for being here. The Democrats may favor chaos, but the American people agree with President Trump that in America we respect the rule of law and love our first responders and law enforcement officers everywhere. That's the real news for today. I'm Laura Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.